Good morning, everybody. I hope that you're having a great and a blessed day so far, and hey, if you're just getting up and going, hope it turns into one. I've been up trying to acclimate back over to the nights for my shifts coming up this week, and I had something pushed into my mind, and I thought it was something worth sharing. I know that I've experienced plenty of fear in my life. We all have. The thing is, society, they criticize people about that, saying that fear is a lack of faith in Jesus. And no, it's not that at all. Fear is a natural part of life. But the other part is faith, and that's the thing you have to remember. So let me go into this real quick. I went over to Mark 5:21, but now there was actually something that popped out a little bit before because the wind flipped it over and it just boom, or another little reminder here. I'm just going to point out just how busy this guy was. So right before that, in Mark 5, here we have the demon-possessed man that he healed. So this guy, nobody could touch. They tried to. They had shackles on his legs. They had chains on his arms. Broke them. They couldn't touch the guy. Here's the deal. Just a little bit of further proof there. Nothing by man is going to uphold the pure evil. Good news is we got Jesus. So he goes out there and comes up to it, and he asks. Once he comes upon this man getting off the boat, he said, "What is your name?" Talking to the demons, because he already knows what's going on. And the demons were saying, "What is it you wish with us, Jesus, Son of God?" Not this well, yada yada. They said, "What is your name?" They said, "We are Legion, for we are many." Now, I don't know if you know what Legion is, but Legion is a Roman military term for 6,000 soldiers. That's a lot. And that's a lot in one. But they're trembling here. And so the first thing that they ask is to be banished out into the pigs, wild pigs. There's about 2,000 of them down in the valley. They ask for that route. Jesus immediately grants it. They get in and they run off the side of a cliff into the sea and drown. All right, let's just go ahead and focus here. They did that because Jesus showed up. Remember, he's on your team. It's a good thing. Just keep that in mind here. That plays in a little later. So, moving down though, back over to what I originally flipped to on Mark 5:21. So, we had Jesus cross back over the lake to the Jewish side because he was on the Gentile side. He wanted to make sure everyone knew that what he was doing wasn't just for his people. It's for everyone. Well, now he's back over on their side of the lake. And as soon as he crosses over and gets off of the boat, well, he's quite popular these days. He's got a reputation. Crowd engulfs around him. One guy, though, Jairus, which is one of the leaders of the synagogue, comes, falls at his feet, and is begging. And he says, "My little daughter lies at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be healed and she will live." Well, of course, Jesus goes. Now, on the way, you think of this. Jairus is in a hurry. He's wanting to get him there in time. On the way, in the big crowd that's surrounding Jesus, a lady who has bled for 12 years. So, the exact deal was a lady who's had a flow of blood for 12 years and has suffered many physicians' attempts. Now, let's think here. Back then, there were some pretty extreme things that they did, so I can only imagine. But she bled the piggy bank dry. She was broke. And here's the other thing. In first century Judaism, there's a lot of ceremonial rules requiring ritual purity, and at that point, she was considered eternally unclean. I mean, at this point, 12 years. So no temple for her, nothing social. And here's the other thing. She's married, but no touchy-touchy. So she has got the worst case of man. Now, she hears Jesus coming through. Here's what's going through her mind, I can already tell. He doesn't even have to acknowledge me, doesn't have to touch me. If I can just touch the hem of his robes. And that's what she does. Now, when she does touch his robes, she has such faith. She's hanging on by that one thread of trust in Jesus so heavily that when she did that, the bleeding dried and things were healed inside. She felt it, but so did Jesus. He felt that power leave from him. Now, just focus real quick. It just took that one little thread that she was hanging on by in life of trust in Jesus to fix all that. All right, now, Jesus, feeling that, turns around and says, "Who touched my robe?" And Jairus is probably thinking at this point, what is he doing having a social talk with this lady? She's got more pressing matters. But the lady confesses that she knows what went on. And by saying this, Jesus says that your faith is what has healed you. Go and be healed. Now, at this point, Jairus is probably freaking out, thinking, hey, it's quite the hurry time down to the last minute. Somebody from Jairus' house comes up and says, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? Talking about worst fears come true, losing your child. But Jesus heard and said, don't be afraid, only believe. Now, funeral had already begun, but Jesus, he knows how to crash in the best way. So he walks in and he says, why make this commotion and weep? This child is not dead, but sleeping. They ridiculed and made attention to what they thought they knew. Jesus kicks all out, but the child's folks, Peter, James, and James' brother John. Walks up to the kid, says to her, Talitha Kume, which translates to, little girl, I say to you, arise. And don't you know it? 12-year-old pops up, and don't you know, he ruined another funeral. Told them, only they must know of it, though, and to give her something to eat. Being dead works up an appetite. He goes out into his own country now. All right. So he is teaching and gets ridiculed. And like many know, as far as with your own folks, he says something to this effect. A prophet is not without honor except in his own country, among his own relatives, and in his own house. Skip over just a hair. Now, all this to say, fear is natural. But people do criticize others for fear and not having faith. Fear is part of the package, people, but the other part is faith. Like I said, even Jesus was fearful. Really. Turn over to Mark 14:32. Now, at that point, he then went as far as his garden. He feared the task ahead and spoke, praying to God, asking for him to take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. He knew exactly what was coming, who betrayed and sold him out, and asked for it if it could not happen to be exempt. But note, he finishes with not what I will, but what you will. He had faith that in the face of torture and death gruesomely, that if God willed it to be, it was going to end better than he himself could have planned. That is the Son of God with fear, but fear with faith. Not changing rules to be more comfortable, but accepting dying horribly, agonizingly, descending into hell for 3 of our days, where time is not held the same, but torturously, conquering death, acquiring the key to hell and death, and ascending to the right hand of the Father. After seeing a few people on the way, that's who you have on your team. That's the reason hope, faith, knowing that even when you're scared senseless with trials and bad medical reports, you keep that thread of trust in Jesus. He lived the human life, felt the biggest fear, and died the worst death so that you can be free with faith.